Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Blaze, and today we are diving headfirst into one of the most chilling, calculated, and frankly, evil manipulation plots I have ever read. This is a story that starts with a normal-sounding request for fairness and ends with the attempted theft of an entire family's future. The OP, a divorced father, thought he was dealing with simple step-parenting challenges. He was worried about things like allowances and discipline. But the truth was far, far darker. His fiancée was executing an insidious, long-term legal plan to seize control of his assets and, more terrifyingly, his children. This is a full marathon video detailing the discovery of the plot, the painful confrontation, and the glorious final moment of justice. This is a story of a dodged bullet that was aimed straight at the OP's heart and his bank account. Get comfortable, because this is a long one. If you are ready for this epic journey of discovery and self-preservation, please do me a huge favor and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Your support is vital. Hit that notification bell and let's get into the insanity. Let's dive into the original post, where the OP was initially seeking advice on a standard step-parenting conflict, completely unaware of the viper he was sleeping with. I, 42 male, am a divorced father of 2 children, Ella 10 female and Liam 8 male. I have a stable career in tech and a sizable inheritance that my children are the sole beneficiaries of. 3 years ago, I met Maya 38 female, a divorced mother of 2, Alex 11 male and Chloe 9 female. We fell in love and we got engaged 6 months ago. We were planning a simple, spring wedding. The initial red flags were small, manageable step-parenting issues. Meyer insisted on equal treatment for all 4 kids, which I agreed to in principle. However, it quickly escalated. It wasn't about love, it was about assets. My kids have trust funds, and I own a beautiful, expensive home. Her kids do not. She started demanding that the kids' allowances, the size of their bedrooms, and the quality of their holiday gifts be strictly identical. My inheritance, which I keep separate from my children, was a constant, unspoken source of tension. The tension broke open over college savings. I had set up 529 plans for Ella and Liam years ago. When I brought up starting funds for Alex and Chloe, Meyer immediately shut it down. She said, "Why go through the hassle of opening new accounts? We are a family now. We should just designate the 4 of them as beneficiaries on your kids' existing accounts." That's true equality. I was immediately uncomfortable. My children's funds were untouchable, and her suggestion was a massive red flag that I initially brushed off as simply naivety about finances. The demands continued. She insisted that my home, which I purchased before meeting her, be put into both our names for fairness. I refused, explaining that the equity was for my children. I offered to put her name on a rental property I owned or on a future, jointly purchased home, but she was insistent. It had to be my house. The wedding was put on hold over this single issue, but I blamed the stress of blending a family, not malice. The most significant, chilling event happened 2 weeks ago, and it's what sent me to a lawyer and ultimately to the relationship advice subreddit. I walked into my home office late one night to grab a work file and found Meyer at my desk. She was going through a folder marked Legal Will and Estate. She claimed she was looking for a pen, but the folder was open, and she slammed it shut with a look of pure, unadulterated panic when she saw me. I let it go, but the seed of doubt was planted. The next day, when she was out, I carefully checked the folder. I found my current will, which clearly left 100% of my assets to Ella and Liam, managed by my sister as the executor. Tucked inside the folder, however, was a draft document, a legal-looking form that was not mine. It was a prenuptial agreement draft that had been prepared by her own lawyer, one she had been consulting without my knowledge, and the terms were horrifying. Prenuptial agreement draft outlined a plan where 1. All assets, including my house and existing investment accounts, would be legally blended immediately upon marriage. 2. In the event of my death, all 4 children would inherit equally. 3. Critically, it contained a clause demanding that I legally adopt her children, and that she be named the sole guardian of all 4 children, including Ella and Liam, in the event of my and my ex-wife's simultaneous death. This would completely remove my sister's guardianship rights over my biological children and put my entire inheritance and my kids under her sole control. The equal treatment was a smokescreen. This wasn't about love or fairness, it was about a calculated, high-stakes parental and financial takeover. She was planning to leverage the blended family narrative to legally erase my children's inheritance and secure guardianship over them, effectively making my 2 children legally her own, with all their assets, while simultaneously ensuring her 2 children were equal heirs to my fortune. She was playing a long, insidious game. The discovery felt like the floor dissolving beneath me. I didn't confront her immediately. I took the draft document and immediately booked an emergency meeting with my estate lawyer. My lawyer confirmed that the document, while only a draft, outlined a ruthlessly effective plan to secure control of my entire estate and my children's future. The adoption clause was the most alarming, as it could nullify my ex-wife's parental rights in certain scenarios and, combined with the guardianship clause, put my entire family under her thumb. The lawyer advised me to play it cool. I went home and, with the help of my lawyer and sister, orchestrated a complete financial and digital lockdown. I changed the security codes, backed up all my files, and most importantly, I had a new will and guardianship document drawn up and signed, explicitly stating that if anything happened to me, my sister would take guardianship of my children and manage their entire inheritance, with absolutely no role for Maya. 2 days later, the confrontation happened. It wasn't a fight, it was an execution. I walked into the kitchen where she was making dinner and placed the document, the insidious prenup draft, on the counter. She saw it, and her face went from a placid smile to sheer, blinding terror. She knew she was caught. I didn't yell. My voice was quiet, cold, and final. This isn't about equal treatment, Maya. This is about taking my children's inheritance and my parental rights. This is a plan to legally erase my children's mother and steal their future. You are a predator, not a fiancé. You have 24 hours to move out. I've already changed the locks on the rental property. My sister is collecting your children from school. You will communicate only through my lawyer. We are over. The begging, the screaming, the denials, it was all a blur. She claimed it was all a misunderstanding and bad advice from her lawyer, but the document, with the clauses about guardianship and adoption, spoke the truth. The ring is off, the engagement is over, and I am currently sleeping in a guest room until she leaves. The shock and the sense of having dodged a catastrophic, life-altering legal trap is still settling in. My children's future is safe, but the betrayal is immense. The initial reactions were focused on standard step-parenting advice, but some commenters immediately flagged the financial equality demands as suspicious. This is where the initial seeds of doubt were sown, pushing the OP toward the truth. Lawyer-up consultant said, "Red flag is too small a word. This is a 5-alarm legal fire. The equal inheritance sounds fair, but the guardianship clause is the real monster. If you had died, your ex-wife could have fought, but the legal adoption/guardianship clause would have given Maya a terrifying amount of leverage over your kids and their money. You saved your children's future. Do not hesitate. Hire an investigator, change the locks, and cut all ties." The fact that she was going through your estate documents is proof of her intent. Not the a-hole. This commenter perfectly highlights the insidious nature of the plan. The equal treatment was the bait, the guardianship and legal adoption clauses were the trap. The OP got out just in time before she could execute the final steps. The fact that she consulted a lawyer secretly and drafted this monster of a document shows this was a calculated, long-term plan, not an emotional reaction. She was marrying for a complete takeover, not for love. Bio-parent first said, "Not the a-hole." As a step-parent, I'm disgusted. The money is one thing, but attempting to remove your children's biological mother and your sister's role as guardian is a massive, unforgivable act of malice. This wasn't about blending, it was about colonization. You must file a report with the police for attempted theft of documents and trespass on your private records. Secure your digital and physical assets immediately. The concept of colonization perfectly describes her attempt to completely supplant the OP's existing family structure with herself and her children at the top. The OP's children were the primary victims in her scheme. Therapy needed now said, the calm execution of the breakup after the discovery is a sign of massive strength. You didn't give her the emotional fight she wanted. You gave her the cold, hard facts of the law. You are saving yourself from years of gaslighting and financial abuse. Get to a therapist immediately to process the betrayal. Not the a-hole. The emotional trauma of discovering such a betrayal is immense. The OP's cold, final execution was necessary for survival, but he needs to process the fact that he was so close to marrying a literal predator. The initial discovery of the prenup draft was shocking, but the fallout from the final confrontation is even more intense. This update details the aftermath, the legal measures the OP took, and the final, glorious justice served. If you've stuck with me through this long, amazing story of dodged bullets, you deserve to see the conclusion. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive into the final act of self-preservation. The fallout from the confrontation was just as explosive as predicted, but I was ready for it. Maya did not leave peacefully within the 24-hour window. She escalated into a period of furious, desperate maneuvering that ultimately sealed her fate and solidified my children's safety. She initially refused to leave, demanding a fair breakup. I immediately involved the police, who served her with a temporary restraining order based on my documentation of her accessing my private legal documents and her refusal to vacate the premises. The police presence was the only thing that forced her out, and she left screaming, calling me a monster and a heartless, selfish pig in front of my neighbors. I immediately went full, total no contact. My lawyer handled all communication. The first move was to send her lawyer a copy of the new will and guardianship documents, which completely negated any future legal claims she could make. The lawyer's office quickly realized their client's plan had failed and advised her to cease all contact. The legal tide had turned entirely in my favor. The next critical step was the children. My ex-wife and I had a necessary, painful, and very candid conversation. I showed her the guardianship and adoption clauses in the prenup draft. She was horrified, realizing how close we both came to losing our children to Maya's manipulative control. This shared threat instantly repaired any lingering tension between us, and we are now a united front, updating all our legal documents to make absolutely certain Maya can never, under any circumstances, have any legal claim over our children or their inheritance. My sister was a rock. She took Maya's kids, Alex and Chloe, for a brief period while their biological father, who was previously unreliable, was forced to step up. My sister's report was eye-opening. Maya had coached her children to constantly ask me for expensive gifts and to subtly undermine my children, Ella and Liam, confirming the entire household dynamic was orchestrated. As for Maya's children, Alex and Chloe, they were distraught. I felt a pang of genuine sorrow for them. They were just pawns in their mother's scheme. I paid for 2 months of rent for their father's new apartment and gave him contact information for my sister, offering him future resources for his children's stability, bypassing Maya completely. I made it clear that while I cared about them, their mother's plan had made any future contact impossible. The final victory came 6 months later. Maya's attempt to challenge the asset division was laughed out of court. Her lawyer's attempt to use the equal treatment narrative failed completely when my lawyer presented the final, damning piece of evidence, the prenup draft with the parental takeover clauses. The judge saw her for exactly what she was, a gold digger attempting a ruthless manipulation of a blended family for financial gain. The case was dismissed, and she was ordered to pay a portion of my legal fees. I now live in complete peace and security. The locks are changed, the new security system is installed, and the estate documents are ironclad. The best part, Ella and Liam have never been happier. They have a more relaxed, stable life without the constant, underlying tension of Maya's manipulative demands. I lost a fiancé, but I saved my children's financial and emotional future from a catastrophic predator. The feeling of safety is worth more than any amount of money. I dodged a bullet that was meant to destroy my family for generations. The update thread was a torrent of applause and legal advice, confirming the OP's actions were the only path to safety. The community's collective sigh of relief was palpable. Let's look at the final, vindicated reactions to the outcome. Lawyer Up consultant said, "The police escort. That is the proper way to end a malicious engagement." The fact that the judge dismissed her case after seeing the prenup draft is the ultimate poetic justice. She showed her hand, and the system shut her down. You didn't just break up, you executed a flawless legal defense of your family. Not the a-hole. The police escort was necessary and final. It moved the conflict from emotional drama to a documented legal matter, which is the only language a manipulator like Meyer understands. Bio parent first said, "The unified front with your ex-wife is the silver lining." Showing her the prenup was the smartest move you made. You turned a potential co-parenting feud into a powerful two-parent defense of your children's well-being. This is a massive victory for Ella and Liam. Not the a-hole. The repair of the co-parenting relationship is the ultimate emotional win. A shared threat can be a powerful catalyst for parental unity, which will benefit the children far more than the money. Therapy needed now said, "The feeling of safety you describe is the end goal." You have mourned the loss of the relationship you thought you had, but you gained an incredible peace and stability. The fact that you helped her kid's father stabilize their housing shows you are not a monster. You are just a father protecting his own. Not the a-hole. The op's final, compassionate act towards her children's father shows his true character, distinguishing him from the predator he was engaged to. He secured his own future while still demonstrating basic human decency. Just a commenter 88 said, "The financial safety of your children's trust funds is now 100% secure." You were right to suspect the equal treatment was a smokescreen. This story should be mandatory reading for every divorced parent considering remarriage. Check your legal documents, people. Not the a-hole. This story serves as the perfect cautionary tale about checking legal and financial documents before making any major commitment in a blended family situation. Wow, I am genuinely speechless. The cold, clinical nature of her plan, from the will to the guardianship documents, is not the work of a partner, it's the work of a predator. The OP was not planning a marriage, he was walking into a trap. He didn't just dodge a bullet, he avoided a legal and emotional catastrophe that would have financially crippled his own children and fundamentally erased his parental rights. His vigilance saved his family's future. This story is a crucial reminder that sometimes the seemingly normal conflicts, the demands for equality, are just the camouflage for a much darker, self-serving objective. Always protect your kids and your assets first. Thank you all for sticking with me through this entire, lengthy script. If you want more stories of justice served and insidious plots exposed, please like the video, share it, and definitely subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Until then, stay safe and check your paperwork.